What's poppin', my people? My high salute, man. It is a thrilling time in Broncos country to be a Bronco fan. Looking ahead to the 2025 season, it's a great time to be alive, man. It's a great time to be a Bronco fan, and it feels so good after nearly a decade of just being an absolute mess. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking, well, yeah, last year was great. We know that things are looking positive, but really after the first week of OTAs is wrapped up and all of the reports that we're hearing just from very specific players, media members, the buzz around the team, it's awesome, man. I feel like the Denver Broncos are truly back, and I feel like we truly have make the Broncos great again. And I'll tell you guys why that is, right? So like and subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Just join the run, join the channel, join the community, man. And let's have fun talking about this team because there's so many things to be excited about. And it was just a few years ago we were always talking about, the quarterback, the camp battle, and the QBs, right? The Paxton Lynch versus Trevor Siemian. We were talking about Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater, right? And then we had the years with Russ where we were talking, how does Russ look under the new Sean Payton offense? And then even last year, man, it was, Bo Nix versus Jarrett Stidham versus Zach Wilson. We never really had that clear direction, and everything else was kind of convoluted and messy around the team. But now we know we have a new sheriff in town, right? And Bo Nix. We know he's leading this team, and you hear about the unbelievable growth that he's already shown. And let's face it, guys, I get it. It's very early. I don't like to look at things through an orange and blue lens and try to be overly biased and overly positive. I'll be critical when I need to. And yes, it's very early. And what I love about Bo Nix is that he's acknowledged that it is very early. They haven't accomplished anything yet, right? And you expect for your quarterback to look good when he's throwing against air and there's no one rushing him and these guys are wide open. I get that. But it's not just about the on-field product. We'll be able to know what that looks like as training camp comes along, as the preseason rolls, and obviously as we get into the season. But it's the off the field, man. It's to see him coaching the players, understanding this offense like the back of his hand, spitting out the play calls easily. Those kinds of strides, that leadership, the comfort that you're going to see in him, you're really going to start to see the personality shine when it comes to Bo Nix. And I think that obviously gives you a lot of optimism. But then you couple in the fact that Sean Payton has really, implemented his culture and his identity on this team. That it's always going to be about getting a group of guys that care about each other, that respect each other, and that push each other to make everybody better, right? And every single aspect of the game on and off the field is taken extremely seriously. Just seeing Talanoa Hufanga, right? A veteran in this league, someone that's played in the Super Bowl, that's been on very successful teams and very dominant defenses, coming in and saying, now, I played with Brock Purdy, man, and obviously nothing against him. But this dude, Bo Nix, is another level. And being able to talk about him in a positive way and just the way that this defense flies around and how excited he is to be a part of it. I can't wait till we get a Dre Greenline, right? We're talking about a team that could potentially have 6, 7, 8, 9 Pro Bowlers. 3 to 4 guys that could be all pros, whether first or second team. Whereas just a couple of years ago, we were labeled as the worst roster in the league. It's really flipped around, man. And then as you get into the offseason, team activities, right, with the OTAs wrapping up last week, you start hearing reports of like, man, Devon Vele's taken a huge step in year 2, right? And it's someone that we expected to be a pretty solid contributor. I don't think anybody felt like he wasn't going to make the team this year. But a lot of the buzz was about, what step can Marvin Mims take? Or what's the next step that Troy Franklin can take? And obviously, those two players can still take massive leaps. But to be able to hear it's coming from yet another guy in that receiving room is only going to, iron sharpens iron. It's always going to make everybody else on the team better. And you love to hear that. You love to hear that Vele is the guy that really popped. He's getting open. He's become a better route runner. Then you mix in Pat Bryant to the mix too, being a rookie and seeing what he's going to do. We are significantly taking strides on the offensive side of the ball as it relates to the receiver room. And then you look at the tight ends. We know about Evan Ingram. We ain't got to get into that too much, how he's going to make this team a lot better, right? I still think that there is going to be room for growth in the tight end room as a whole. And I would not be opposed. In fact, I would be a big advocate of adding a couple more bodies to the tight end room behind Evan Ingram. Some guys that we know can be productive or that have a significant ceiling. One of the names that popped up around the league recently was Kyle Pitts. Some people saying, should the Broncos be involved? There hasn't been reports that we've been interested, but there's been a lot of reports that he's on the trading block, that teams are calling. I don't necessarily think someone like a Kyle Pitts makes sense for the identity of this team or for how to kind of round out that tight end room. But it's going to be interesting to see, how that lays out for the Broncos moving forward. But then you got RJ Harvey, man. All the buzz about RJ Harvey. He's just looking great. He's kind of poised to be RB1. He's going to get all the opportunities to do it. And then Audric Estime is going to get plenty of opportunities as well. And right now, the way that it looks is that it's going to be an RJ Harvey and Audric Estime type of a backfield. That's what I would expect for it to be. And that's honestly what I want for it to be. That's the most ideal scenario for the Broncos. Because after that, you do got a lot of unknowns, or you got some guys that you know are going to, you know the kind of players that they are, like Jaleel McLaughlin, but they're not really going to raise the ceiling of this team. And so it gets you thinking, man, if Audric Estime and RJ Harvey can have really solid off seasons and can prove that they can carry this running back room, now you almost got an embarrassment of riches, right? You've got a guy in Jaleel that you can keep to be a really good depth running back, or ultimately you can use to trade to another team that might be looking for a very specialized type of running back that can have some explosion with him. You're going to have Blake Watson, who's unbelievably intriguing player to me, because Blake Watson is a running back that possesses a skill set that no one else on this team possesses. Very similar to Audric Estime, right? Audric Estime is really the only true power back that we have. Now, we know RJ Harvey's got a lot of power to him. We know he's very well built. He's a solid dude, and he's going to, have that as a part of his game. But as a true just thumper, run between the tackles type of runner, it's Audric Estime and nobody else on this team. And same kind of holds true for Blake Watson, but on the opposite, right? Blake Watson is your best receiving running back day one. As of right now, he's the guy that can catch the ball to the backfield the best. Now, that's not the all and be all, right? It's not like, he catches the ball the best, so he's going to have to play. No, you're going to need RJ Harvey to catch the ball to the backfield decently, which I think he will. You're going to need to see a leap forward with Audric Estime and his ability to catch the ball, which I think he can do it. He's shown it. He just hasn't done it a lot. But that's what Blake Watson's got to his game, is that that he can be a good pass catcher. Can he improve as a pure runner? And can he play special teams? If he can do both of those, or at least one of those two things, I don't think there's really much doubt that he is going to be RB3 on this team, the third running back that makes the 53. And then we'll have a couple guys on practice squad. Maybe it's Jaleel. But that's kind of where it's going to be. But Jaleel's not going to go without a fight. There's no doubt about it. And I think now the narrative amongst the Denver Broncos is starting to shift towards which players could we trade for assets, right? Where do we have an embarrassment of riches at? I think about edge, the edge room, right? With the development and what Jonah Ellis showed, with what Dondrea Tillman showed last year, right? With Q Robinson entering the mix. We know what Nick Bonito, that leap that he took. Obviously, you got Jonathan Cooper. Are any one of those guys going to be expendable? Maybe you can trade Jonathan Cooper for a decently high pick. I'm not advocating for that, but it's just, you can have these conversations now because we are stacked. If the running back room, if Devon Vele continues to show the progress, and man, Pat Bryant just consistently impresses, what does that mean with Cortland Sutton and his contract negotiation, right? Does it change that? Do you look to maybe field calls for him and trade him for other assets to continue to build out through the pipeline below him? These are all conversations where I'm not going to go into my opinion on each and every position. We could do that another time. But the fact that these are conversations that are being had just shows truly where this Broncos team is going in the ascension that we are taking going up. And that's what I love about it, right? I mean, John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen, right? Both these guys are looking for contract extensions. I definitely would advocate for Zach Allen to do so, but maybe not so much JFM. Why? Because we've got other guys like Malcolm Roach, like maybe Savion Jones, the way that he plays. Who knows what Iyoma Owuzurike can look like going forward. But you've always constantly got guys that are ready to fill in or take on more responsibilities. And that's something that you got to love. Right now, where do I want to see this team continue to strengthen? You want to continue going through the defense, right? The secondary. PJ Locke, who was a starter for us last year and at times showed really good stuff, and at times he struggled, is now a depth piece. a really, really solid depth piece. Same thing with Jaquan McMillan. He was a starter, one of my favorite players on the defense. I love him. Now he's projected to maybe be a backup depth piece in the slot nickel type of role for him. So you look at it like, do you move those guys? You certainly could, or do you just want to be really, really solid when it comes to depth? And that's what you're going to get to. So it's almost an embarrassment of riches now. We're almost too deep at certain positions, so we could trade some guys to be able to fill in the positions that maybe we're not as deep on. And I love it. And it's a really refreshing place to be as a Bronco fan. Ain't no doubt about that, man. I'm super excited. And there's obviously, with just like with every team, there's ways that we can get better. When I think about it, I look at the receiver position and looking at, we've got a lot of guys that I think can be very good, but do we have that elite guy? Do we have that elite wide receiver, right? You don't necessarily need to have an elite wide receiver to be very functional and productive as an offense. But, we've kind of built the roster out now where at a lot of positions, I think we're going to be good enough, but we don't have that elite player. But that's something that's going to come with time. But that's something that's also going to come with giving these young guys that you don't know much about, that have the talent, more opportunities. So just think about it that way, right? I mean, you've got to be able to see what you have in a lot of these young dudes before you can make, a play and a move towards finding that wide receiver one or that dominant running back or that dominant tight end. And same goes for the defensive side of the ball. I expect for Bo Nix to cover up a lot of the flaws, because I don't know how much necessarily flaws we'll have, but I think he's going to be able to elevate the game of a lot of these players. I think he's going to make Pat Bryant look even better. I think Devon Bailey is going to take a big step, not just because he's developing better, but because Bo Nix is also developed. And that's why it always starts with the quarterback. And I think our offense is really going to be at least an upper tier offense, meaning top 15 in the NFL when it comes to their production. And that's with running the ball, and that's with, in the pass game, and that's obviously going to be in overall scoring. That's what you want to see. And I can't wait to see it, man, because you team up an offense that's taken a big leap, that has the ability to get into more of a groove, score more points in the red zone, control the clock and control the time of possession better, and then you have a dominant defense the way that we do. We could be a really, really scary overall team. And that is what I'm expecting, man. But I want to, after the first week of OTAs and what we've seen so far in this offseason, I want to know where you guys' head's at, right? I'm still standing by my 11-6 prediction. I think it's very realistic, and I think it's not, too crazy to think that we can improve one game from last year. But I think we're going to be a much better team overall. And we're going to be able to compete at the highest level with the best of the best in the AFC and in the NFC, frankly, in the entire league. But I want to know what y'all think, man. What are you the most excited about? Maybe coming out of the reports that you've seen from minicamp, right? With Vele, or with Drew Sanders and Alex Singleton, getting back in the mix, or, with RJ Harvey and Estime. What do you want to see the most, and what are you most excited about? Let me know below in the comments. But until the next video, man, y'all be sure to stay safe. Enjoy the weekend, and go Broncos, baby.